You ever meet someone who's just so incredibly calm they almost seem to glow? Well, in ancient India, a monk named Ananda had that exact experience with his friend, the Venerable Sāriputta, one of the Buddha's sharpest disciples. And what Ananda found out that day wasn't just some simple relaxation trick. Oh no, it was a profound map of the mind that completely upends who we think we are.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to follow Ananda's curiosity. We'll start with what he saw, then climb this incredible ladder of meditative states Sāriputta lays out for him. Then we'll uncover the mind-blowing insight hidden in all of it. And finally, we'll see how all this deep inner work changes something as simple as eating a meal.
All right, so picture this. Our story kicks off with Sāriputta coming back from a day of quiet meditation out in the forest. His good friend Ananda sees him walking up, and he is just completely struck by how he looks. Now, you gotta understand, this was way more than just a friendly compliment. Ananda could literally see the signs of a deep, deep inner peace. It was a kind of radiance that you don't get from just having a good day. He knew, just by looking at him, that his friend had been somewhere truly extraordinary, in his mind. So he just has to ask. And notice, he doesn't say, "Hey, how was your day?" He asks something much more specific. What state were you in? Where did you go in your meditation? And Sāriputta's answer, well, that's what this is all about. So Sāriputta starts to lay out this step-by-step path of these incredibly deep meditative states. It's kind of like a ladder of concentration, and in the ancient Pali language, they're known as the jhanas. Okay, so what is a jhana? Well, don't think of it as just relaxing or thinking about something. It's a state where your mind becomes so focused, so completely one with its object, that all the usual mental chatter just vanishes. It leads to these really powerful states of bliss and stillness. Sāriputta starts with the first 4 rungs of the ladder, the form jhanas. The first one pops up from just being in seclusion, and it brings this huge wave of rapture. In the second, that rapture gets even deeper, now coming from pure concentration itself. By the third jhana, that big energy kind of mellows out into this really nice, gentle pleasure. And finally, in the fourth, even that goes away, leaving just this unshakable, pure balance and calm. But guess what? The journey doesn't stop there. After mastering those states, the mind can let go even more and move into these realms that are totally boundless, with no form at all. This is where the mind starts to take apart reality itself. It's wild. First, you let go of all physical form and just perceive infinite space. Then, you let go of the space and just notice the infinite consciousness that was seeing the space. Then, you even let go of consciousness and focus on, well, nothing. Finally, you get to a state that's so subtle, you can't even say you're perceiving or not perceiving. Sāriputta then tells Ananda that on this particular day, he made it all the way to the very top, the absolute summit of this meditative ladder, a state that goes beyond everything else. This is the peak. It's called the cessation of perception and feeling. It's a state of such profound quiet that all mental activity, all input from your senses, everything just temporarily stops. It's the ultimate mental shutdown. But, and this is a huge but, experiencing all these incredible states, that actually wasn't the main point. Okay, this next part, this is the secret ingredient. This is the key insight that applies to all 9 of those states we just talked about, from the very first jhana to that final cessation. This is what was really making Sāriputta's face shine. Our natural reaction would be, wow, I did it. I reached the first jhana, or I got to the sphere of nothingness. We'd see it as this huge personal accomplishment, right? A shiny badge for our ego. But for Sāriputta, that's not what happened at all. Get this. For every single one of those 9 states, he says the exact same thing. The experience was there, the states were entered and left, but there was no sense of a personal I doing it. No achiever, no one in control. The experience was happening without a self at the center of it. So, how is that even possible? Well, the ancient texts give us a very specific, almost technical reason, and it's captured in this beautiful Pali phrase. This is the root cause of that radiant serenity. So Sāriputta's incredible calm wasn't just because his mind was quiet. It was because, over a very long time, he had completely taken apart the very machine that builds the ego. That deep, deep habit of thinking, this is me, this is mine, and I am better. It was just gone. And when there's no I to claim ownership, all that's left is the pure experience itself. Now that sounds super profound and maybe a little abstract, right? I mean, how does this whole uprooting the I thing actually show up in everyday life? Well, luckily, another little story about Sāriputta gives us the perfect practical answer.
So one day, this wanderer, Suchimukhi, sees him eating. And maybe she's trying to test him, I don't know, but she asks him these seemingly simple questions about which way he's looking while he eats. But as Sāriputta is about to show her, these are actually clever trick questions about how he makes his living.
Sāriputta, because his mind is totally free of ego, doesn't get defensive. He brilliantly reframes her questions. He explains that people who look down for their food are really diviners. Those who look up are astrologers, and so on. He just calmly concludes by saying he doesn't do any of that. He just gets his food righteously, in a way that's in line with the teachings. And Susimukhi gets it instantly. She realizes he's not talking about how he holds his head. He's talking about the ethical posture of his entire life. And she is so impressed that she runs around town telling everyone to support these monks because they live with such integrity.
And there it is. That's the final connection. That deep inner work of uprooting the ego, of taking the I out of the picture like Sāriputta did in his meditation, it just naturally blossoms into actions in the world that are simple, direct, and totally blameless. When there's no I that you have to serve, your actions just become about doing the right thing.
Which leaves us with a final thought to chew on. Look, we might not be entering deep jhanas every day, but we all eat, we all work, we all live. How much of our daily grind is really driven by that need to build ourselves up, to prove we're something, to feed that hungry I? Sāriputta's story suggests that the deepest serenity isn't about what we gain, but about the I we're willing to let go of.